Okay, so we're gonna start, and today is gonna be chapter 12 of Tanya. I think we have already started it, but it's gonna be, for some people, it's a little bit of a review. And the whole book of Tanya is talking about the Beinoni, the middle guy, the middleman. And we know that Tanya divides all of humanity into three sections, into three categories. We have the tzaddik, we have the rasha, and we have the Beinoni. Right? We have explained them many times. So we have the tzaddik here. We have the rasha, and we have the Beinoni, the middle guy, the middleman. Right? And we have said that each of these categories, they have two souls, right? They have the animal soul and the divine soul. All of them have these two souls and the divine. And we have also stated that the divine soul is the piece of God that we all have inside of us. So all it wants, it's a real piece of Hashem. All it wants is to complete its mission, what it was sent for. It wants to do Hashem's will. It wants to be the best Jewish woman that it can be, the best Jewish mother, the best Jewish friend, the best. It wants to, it's perpetually happy, content. If it rains, it's happy. If it doesn't rain, it's happy. Whatever happens, it's happy, right? Because it knows it's that whatever Hashem is doing is good. So it's in tune with Hashem, with its mission. The animal soul, it's our vitality. It's what makes our heart beat. It's what it gives us life. And that's why the main thrust, the main energy of the animal is survival. It wants to live. So it wants to eat. It wants to take a shower. It wants to take care of itself. Now the ego can be born in the animal soul. So that's where the ego can be born. Okay, and the ego is all about me. Where we see the divine soul, it's about what does Hashem want for me or for us. Okay, now we have also compared it that if we see like a car, we saw that the tzaddik, we compared it to a Bentley or a Rolls Royce. On the outside, it's a Rolls Royce because it's doing exactly what the Torah and the mitzvot that it came to do. And the motor inside is also of a Rolls Royce, right? Because there's only one vision, one tune. It has completely transformed its animal to want exactly what the divine soul wants. So there's a unison. It's only one voice that is reigning inside and outside. The rasha, we said that on the outside, the car, we named it upla, my last class, because I don't know what a not nice car is. On the outside, it's an upla because sometimes the animal soul prevails inside, and the motor is also an upla motor because it has both souls inside. Okay, the Beinoni is this unusual category, and the Beinoni on the inside, it's an upla motor. Okay, it has the animal very much alive, but it never allows the animal to conquer it. Never for a second, even in a thought, in a speech, or in an action. So on the outside, it looks like a Rolls Royce. because on the outside, the Beinoni looks like a person that is a tzaddik. And from the outside, people can tell him, oh, you are such a tzaddik. You're always doing the right thing. You're always saying the right thing. You're always happy. You're always content. But inside the Beinoni, we see that there's an inner fight constantly because he hasn't transformed like a tzaddik, his animal soul. So we see from these three categories that the Beinoni is a fighter. He's a fighter. He's very disciplined. He doesn't allow himself to be conquered even for a single minute. Okay, so here's where we start our chapter 12. The Beinoni, in page 169 in the bottom, the Beinoni, the intermediate man, is he in whom the evil, it has, the Tanya has its own dictionary. Evil means ego, okay? In whom the evil of the animal soul never attains enough power to conquer the small city. The small city is the person. So even though I could have an inner animal impulse or an inner animal drive, right? I want to say something. I want to say some gossip. I want to eat the wrong thing. I want to do the wrong thing. Even though I have that impulse, I never let it materialize into my thought, into my speech, into my action. So to conquer the small city, the body, which is likened to a small city, which the divine and animal soul both wish to dominate. Inside of us, there is a constant fight, as we see right now evident in Israel. In Israel, there's a constant fight. There's a constant fight because we have two different opposing forces trying to conquer the land. And each force has a completely different vision. You know, I'm sure you've seen the cartoons that they have made of Israel. Israel, since 48, right? What they have built, they have made a startup nation. Chas v'shalom, if Hamas would have had Israel since 48, what would they have done? Instead of a startup nation, they would have made more tunnels, terror tunnels. So it's completely different forces. How are you? Here. How are you? Good morning. There you go. I don't know where's this. Okay. All right. So, okay. So the Beinoni is a person that never allows the animal to have enough force, even though it can't eradicate it, it can't take it out, it can't transform it like the tzaddik, but it just never attains enough force even to conquer his small city. Okay, as to clothe itself in the body and make it sing. Okay, so why did Hashem put the animal in us? So we said it has a purpose. The purpose is survival. I need, there's a Pirkei Avot that says, if I am only for myself, what am I? Right? But if I'm not for myself, then who's gonna be? Like if I don't take care of myself in the morning, right? I need to brush my teeth. I need to eat. I need to put a roof over my head. I need to take care of myself. Now that's the beginning of life, but that can't be the end of life, right? Like I have to take care of myself in order to do something more. I have to take care of other people then, right? I take care of myself, but now I have the strength. Now I can take care of somebody else, right? So that's the purpose. Hashem wants us to make a better world, not just myself. It's not just about taking care of myself, but I do need to take care of myself, right? So the animal is there in order for us to understand we need to take care of myself. I need to be well. The Rambam says, without a healthy body, you can't do mitzvot. So we need to take care of our body. But am I going to become a hedonistic person, only thinking about myself, only pampering myself the whole day long? That's not so great, right? So here we see the the animal is put in us for a purpose, but the animal has to be controlled, has to be, that's why there's animals that are domesticated, right? It is an animal, but I need to have the reins very tight. So the animal, I know a lady, she has a dog in her house. The dog is so domesticated, it knows not to even step foot on the rug of the house, right? It knows exactly where it has to go, where it's permitted to go. It's not allowed to go into the bedrooms. It's not allowed to go into the rug of the living room, right? So she has the dog very reined in. So then the dog trained or domesticated, right? Okay. So page 170. That is to say, the three garments of the animal soul, namely thought, speech, and action. So we have said many times. And the Tanya will speak about the same concepts. Just, is it a little hot or is it you? No, okay. It's you. It's me. Okay. So the soul is a piece of, it's the chip. It's like the inner energy that Hashem gives us. Okay. The soul is, and even if a person is unconscious or in a coma, it has a soul. Even if a person dies, it has a soul, right? The soul keeps on living, yes? Because Hashem was, Hashem is, Hashem will be. The soul was, the soul is, the soul. Yes. Okay, excellent. But in a body, the soul needs to express itself. That's what the body is. The body is, it's also called like the cover of a snake. It is like shell. It's a shell. The body is a shell, right? So the soul uses my eyes to see in the body. My soul uses my ears to hear in my body, because that's the best part of my body in order to listen to sounds. The soul uses my mouth to speak. My soul uses my brain to think. But how have we heard stories of people that are in a coma and they are not registering any brain function? Their eyes are closed, right? Their brain is like a straight line. There's no function in the brain. And when they wake up from the coma, what do they say? I was seeing everybody that was around me. I was hearing all the conversations around me, right? How could it be? How could they see if their eyes were closed? How could they hear if they were not registering any signs, right? Are we following? Because the soul is, the soul is awake. The soul is a bunch of energy, okay? When it's in a body, it utilizes the body in order to express itself, okay? So it uses the brain to express thoughts. It uses the mouth to express speech. It uses the body to express action. That's why thought, speech, and action are called clothing of the soul. Okay, it's not the soul, it's the clothing. It's two parts. For me, that is an incredible concept. As the Elder Rebbe describes it, I think it's an amazing concept. Why? Because just as I put up here, some clothing today, right? I'm using clothing to express I'm in a casual mode, right? I'm in a summer mode. It's a yellow color, it's a white color. I'm in summer. I'm casual, right? Tomorrow night it's gonna be Shabbat. How are we gonna dress? We're gonna put elegant clothing to say today is an elegant day, right? At night, we go to sleep. What kind of clothing are we gonna put? I'm gonna put a pajama. He said, I'm gonna go to sleep, right? I can use clothing so my body can express what it's going to do. How come sometimes in an invitation for a wedding, it says black tie? They want people to be very formal. I want us to be very elegant. I want you to wear clothing that's going to say, I'm in an elegant mood, yes? And sometimes we say, no, casual. So clothing helps my body express itself. It's called, the clothing are the garments, right? Just like spiritual, everything in the physical world has a counterpart spiritual. It's a mirror, right? We can't see spirituality. So Hashem gives us the physical world to understand there's a parallel, okay? Thought, speech, and action are the clothing of the soul. Why is this such an amazing concept? Because if it's clothing of my soul, that means that what I think, just like I change my clothing, I can change my mode of thinking. I can choose what to think. Just like I can choose different clothing in my closet to put. And just like in clothing, you know, there's fashion. Why is there fashion? Because even though we have in our closets more clothing than we're gonna use in 2 lifetimes, right? We want new clothing. We want to be in fashion. We want better clothing. I want a finer material. I want something that breathes. I want, you know, softer. We are constantly looking for better clothing, right? That Hashem puts the fashion industry, so we understand. We also, the clothing of the soul that is thought, we have to constantly be thinking, maybe there's better thoughts to think. Maybe I can choose which thought to think, because the animal soul is going to send thoughts. The divine soul is going to send thoughts, and I can actually choose which one am I going to think? Which word am I going to say? Right? That's what's so incredible. I can actually choose. I am not who my thoughts are. I can choose my thoughts. Okay? All right. So 170. That is to say, the 3 garments of the animal soul: thought, speech, and action, originating in the klipa. What does it mean, the klipa? So we have said, everything comes from Hashem. Hashem is the source of energy. And everything has an energy source. In order for this water bottle to be, it has to have some energy. In order for a person to be, has to have an energy source. Hashem wants to create the divine, wants to create the animal soul, right? The divine soul, that's a piece of God. That's what he wants. But he wants us to have, what is it called? Freedom of choice. Freedom of choice. Okay? Angels only have a divine soul. Angels do not have an animal soul.
Just freezing here.
Okay. Angels don't have an animal soul. So in order to create a human being that can actually choose what is called bechira, freedom of choice. And why is freedom of choice important?
Happy Rosh Chodesh.
Huh?
But tonight, allow me to add my own catchphrase in the challenging times.
Okay. Why is freedom of choice important? Because if there's no freedom of choice, there can be no justice system. There can be no justice system. If I only are composed of a divine soul and I can't choose, how is Hashem going to judge me? There can't be a judgment day. Okay? There can't be either any merit, no merit. because just as an angel can't choose. Hashem puts like the sun and it says, just shine during the day. There's no day that the sun says, oh, not today, maybe later. I don't feel like shining, maybe not. There's no such thing. The sun is like an angel. Hashem puts it there and says, shine by day, the moon shine by night. They don't delay, they don't say maybe not, right? Inside of us, the animal is the one that says, Hashem wants me to light Shabbat candles at this time, but maybe later, maybe not now, maybe tomorrow. So when we have to grapple, we have to fight with the animal, then we can assert our freedom of choice, and then there can be merit. I just won my merit. I earned my keep. Okay. All right. So, okay. That is to say, the three garments of the animal soul, thought, speech, and action, originated in the klipa. So we were explaining, in order to make this system, Hashem gives his open energy to the divine soul. This is called divinity. This is called holiness, holy energy. And in order to activate the animal, in order to activate the animal soul that can actually go against Hashem, Pharaoh, the Pharaoh in Egypt, who used his brain, his speech, his heart, everything that his power to say, who is Hashem? I don't know Hashem, right? I made myself a big ego. In order to make the ego, Hashem has to send his energy in a very, very minute way, and that is what creates klipa. And klipa is a shell. Why is it a shell? Because it's a shell of an energy. It's just a little minute. You know, sometimes you can see a person and they see so beautiful. They're like so beautiful put together, right? And when they start to speak, you say, oh my gosh, like there's nothing there. But it's like just a pretty figure, just like a model. And you think, oh my God, that's like a shell of a person. It's like on the outside, there's something, but on the inside, there's nothing, right? So Hashem sends his energy, holiness, to create the divine soul, and that's why it's pure, it's holy, it's intense. But he sends very, very minute energy to create the animal soul, and it's so minute that it can actually turn against its source. That's what creates the ego. Okay. All right. So, yeah. Questions?
Very interesting.
Well, you know what?
What creates the ego?
The klipa energy, because just like Pharaoh, you know, who was giving him the power to speak?
So we have a lot of people.
There's a lot of klipa. Yeah, there's a lot of klipa. But you take a fruit, you take a banana, right? What do I want to eat? I want to eat the fruit because the fruit has energy, has nutrients. I want what is inside. I need to take out the peel. What is the peel for? Why did Hashem make a peel? It protects it till it's ripe, so the animals won't eat it, right? But I have to know that if I'm gonna eat the peel of the banana, it's gonna hurt me, right? I can't digest it, so I need to discard it. That's called klipa. Klipa has it's a means to an end. The animal is there in order for me to surpass it. It's like an antagonist, but it's only there for me to go over it and earn my merit. Overcome it, right? So just like the shell of a nut, you can take a walnut. I can't eat the shell, it's gonna harm me. But I want to eat the nut, the walnut inside. I have to discard it. So then we see already that there's two forces in life. There's a positive force, what I do, and what I don't do. Why did Hashem give us 613 commandments? Not all of them are positive. Not everything in this world is for me to utilize it or to interact with it. Hashem in the 613 commandments is telling us there's things that we are supposed to do, and there's things that we have to refrain from doing. There's two forces, what I do and what I don't do. With divinity, with holiness, I need to do. I need to light my Shabbat candles. I need to give tzedakah. I need to help somebody. With klipa, my mitzvah is to not do. I have to discard it, just like the shell of the walnut, just like the shell, like the peel of the banana, right? Okay, are we together? So right away they're telling us there's two interactions. Okay, all right. So okay, and in the Beinoni, in this middleman, okay, the animal soul in the Beinoni is so what? It's which derive, okay, do not prevail within him over the divine soul to the extent the animal is putting up a fight because the animal is alive, but he never gets to prevail over his divine soul. So we see this person of the Beinoni is incredible because he always wins the fight. And before October 7th, that's what we thought about the IDF, right? We had our security and we always thought, okay, we know that terrorists and other people are trying to come into our country and trying to hurt us, but the IDF is in the front lines and they're always going to win. What happened October 7th? There was a breach in the system. Something happened. We still don't know what happened.
But you know, it was a breach in the system, but it
Right.
wasn't a fight with the IDF. It was just the IDF wasn't there to protect them. They were
Okay.
just there, you know.
Okay, but we see many things from that. We see that the animal is constantly trying to conquer the city. And if for a second the divine soul is not alert, is not on the front lines,
Right.
the animal is gonna win and it's gonna create a havoc. It's gonna create a disaster, right? Because it wants to control the city. And once they got into Israel territory, what did they do? Horrible things, right? And unspeakable.
Right.
So we see what the problem is if we allow the animal to conquer us. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. So the Beinoni, third paragraph, 117, neither in the brain, so that the brain not think forbidden thoughts, okay, nor in the mouth, so it won't speak forbidden words, nor in any of the 248 organs, the garment of action. So in order for them to cause them to sin and defile them, God forbid, okay, because in that case, it would become a Rasha, not a Beinoni. So it's very interesting. In the Beinoni, the animal is alive. So what does it mean that it never thinks for a moment something of the animal soul if the animal soul is constantly sending thoughts to the Beinoni? So it's a little bit, we have to clarify this. We have said many times in class, there is a story, and a man, I don't remember which Rebbe he asked, if it's the messenger, I don't know which one he asked, says, how can I control my bad thoughts? I get thoughts from my animal soul. They could be of depression. They could be of revenge. I could be, okay, I don't want to have those thoughts. How can I control them? So he said, no, that's not a problem. Go visit this person in the middle of the forest. He controls his animal. He'll tell you how to do it. So he gets in the, Russia, middle of the winter, he reaches the forest, he sees one light in a house, It's snowing. He gets in the middle of the night. He knocks on the door. He sees there's a person studying Torah inside. The person doesn't budge. The person is studying, doesn't budge. The man is like half freezing outside. An hour goes by, 2 hours, 3 hours. He's knocking, almost frozen to death. Finally, the man stands up, opens up the door, reads him, gives him tea, something warm, makes him a bed, he sleeps. The next morning, the person that had come to ask the question asked his host, I came because I asked my Rebbe how to control my bad thoughts. And what does the host say? That I already answered you last night. I already answered that question because you were knocking on my door. But I'm the owner of my house and I let in whoever I want to let in. This is a story that clarifies what is a Beinoni. The Beinoni, the animal soul is, I want to think something bad. I have an urge. I have this. I want that. The first thought, that impulse is not considered thought. If I let it into my brain and I mature that thought, that's called thought. So the Beinoni is getting that first impulse. I want revenge, right? I want to get off the merry-go-round, whatever it is. But he doesn't allow it to mature in his brain. You know, there is
So he ignores it or he doesn't let it infiltrate?
both. I can ignore it. I can turn my head. You know, there is the Kotzker Rebbe. Have you heard of the Kotzker? I love him. I need to get a book on him. The Kotzker Rebbe had an incredible mind and an incredible sense of humor. And the Kotzker Rebbe says, I don't want my Hasidim not to sin. I'd rather have my Hasidim not to have time to sin. Two different things. I don't want my Hasidim to sin, right? That's like a person to transgress. That's a very high level. That's like a tzaddik or a Beinoni, like the whole time, right? I don't want them to have time. The Talmud says, free time is a devil's workshop. When we have free time on our hands, we have time to do things that are not proper or things that are not proper or just in, you know, but if we don't have the time, so if I have time, you know, sometimes I think, how are there people in life that have time to destroy? If one is so busy building, you're building yourself, your house, your home, your people, you know, society, you're constantly thinking about how to make things better in life. You have no time to destroy. People that have time to go out and destroy the world, they have a lot of empty time on their hands, right? So the Beinoni is getting that first impulse, but it doesn't let it mature, so it's not called thought. Are we there? Okay. All right. So only the three garments of the divine soul. They are fourth paragraph, 170. Only the three garments of the divine soul. They alone manifest themselves in the body. This being the thought, speech, and action. So it only allows the garments of the divine soul to express themselves. So what does it mean? It means that because now we know there's not just one soul inside of us. And I said in my class earlier this week, Rabbi Lipsker, for many years, he would ask people, not how are you? He would ask people, how's your soul? Because how's your soul is, you know, how are you could be here, and how's your soul is this. So it tells us, now that we know we have two souls inside of us, that means that every thought, or every time we're going to speak, or every time that we're going to act, there has to be like a millisecond that we think, wait, where is this coming from? Which part of me? That's why Pirkei Avot says to us also, a wise person is the one that thinks about the consequence before he acts. Because if we think about the consequence before we act, maybe it could decipher for us, where is this thought coming from? Is it going to lead to something good? Or is it going to lead to something not good? How am I going to feel afterwards? Right? Or this thing that I want to eat. I want to eat the chocolate cake. But am I a diabetic? Is it good for me? How am I going to feel afterwards? Because in that moment, it feels like, oh my God, the world is going to end if I don't have the chocolate cake. Because the urges could be very, very powerful. But I don't know if it's coming from here or from here. So, the Beinoni has never committed any transgression, nor will he ever transgress. So these are very, very big words. Does it mean that he never transgressed? So then that means that, if I have ever lost my cool, then I could never be a Beinoni. Because losing my cool comes from the animal. The divine soul is patient, is happy, is content, is contemplative, will never lose its cool. So why is it saying, what is it saying? It's saying the Beinoni, as a Beinoni, will never lose its cool. Which means, as long as it behaves as a Beinoni, and I compared it to a person that is single. When a person is single, you can have certain thoughts, certain speech, certain urges, certain behavior that are not proper once a person is married, right? So we hope that that person that is single, once it goes into the chuppah, we wish that some parts of that person will close and then will forever behave like a married person, yes? And what happens if they don't? What happens if 20 years down the line they get, the what is it called? 40-year itch. Yes. What happens then? What's the 40-year itch?
Don't scratch.
Don't scratch, right? It's like they are coming out of that state of mind of being a married person, right? They want to behave like somebody that is not married, and it's not proper. It's not right. So what are we saying about the Beinoni? The Beinoni is a person that is a realist. He is a realist because he accepts, this is my portion. He's not a person that is just in la la land. He's not a person that is just I'm not realist. He accepts, this is my portion. They say a problem in Israel is that Israelis think that they live in Europe. Israel is in the Middle East, amongst enemies. They don't live in the middle of Europe. They live amongst people that want to, from the river to the sea. So the Beinoni is a realist. He accepts, this is my portion. The Beinoni is a disciplined person. Why? He never lets his guard down. He's always in the forefront. He's always willing to put up a fight because he knows this is my portion, right? And he's willing to do it. So as long as he maintains himself in this frame of mind, no, his animal soul is never going to prevail over him. And that's what it means. Never has and never will. So you understand that the Tanya has its own dictionary. It's not that before he was a Beinoni, then the animal did conquer him. Or if he forgets to be a Beinoni, the animal will conquer him. But while he stays like a Beinoni, no, it won't conquer him. So why are we studying the Tanya? Because this is telling us we can all reach this place. We can all reach this behavior. It is attainable. It is attainable. It is within our reach. Yes, it's a very high level. Right? It's a very high level, but we are able to do it. Okay. All right. So the name Rasha has never been applied to him. However, temporarily, not even for a moment, throughout his life as a Beinoni. It's like saying this married man or woman has never behaved in a different way like a married man while they are in that state of mind. It doesn't mean when they were teenagers they didn't do this or that. That's not what it's saying. As a married person, it is staying married. Okay.
Can I ask you?
Yes, of course.
You know, use the marriage vows as an example.
Okay.
When somebody has made a decision and he has to, he thinks about the consequences, and the consequences may not be great, but he does it anyway. So what does that mean?
Okay. So
Like if let's say, not for me, but if it's a kosher issue. Okay, so I'm gonna take this, make a decision. Okay, so I'll eat a piece of non-kosher food. What is
the consequence.
the consequence? Well, my soul may be momentarily not clean.
Right.
But I'm not gonna die.
Right. Okay. So in that moment, we have to understand something. The divine soul, okay, it's programmed. It's our hard disk. If we're a computer, the hard disk is what it's made out of. Okay. Now you can have different programs, but the hard disk you can't change. Okay. We come with a hard disk that is the divine soul. The divine soul only wants to eat kosher food. That's where Torah study comes in. We need to understand what is the language, what are the needs of the divine soul. You know, parenthood. Let's take parenthood. Little children, when they come into this world, they don't come with a manual. They should. Okay? They don't come with a manual. We don't know how to take care of them, right? Now, we don't know, perhaps they need a schedule. They need to eat. They need to be birthed. They need to be changed. They need, okay. So we have to learn what are the needs, how to take care of this baby. Okay? Not only physically, psychologically. There are ways to speak to children that work, that motivate them. And there's more ways that harm them. Now, the divine soul only wants divinity. The animal, it's looking for survival, but it's also looking for the easy way out. The divine soul does not mind work. Mitzvahs take work. Making a sukkah takes work.
The comfort zone.
Huh?
The animal zone is the comfort zone.
You know what? I'm taking care of my body. It's me, my comfort. So I won't eat kosher this time. You know, it's just one time. But you know, it's easier because right now I'm in Torah Mall and there's not so many kosher restaurants. So I'm with my friends. It's just easy to do it. No, but tomorrow I'll eat kosher. So we have to understand there's no such thing as going against a divine command, and that's coming from divinity. It's not gonna happen. It's anti, because this is taking care of my soul. I don't know if that answers the question.
It is gonna happen. Some, people do that or other things like that.
Right,
You know, they're divine souls and always say,
right,
you're not doing it, and that's it, and I'm going.
right. Oh, exactly.
And it happens, you know, people make mistakes.
100%. Okay, but then that's telling us that why are we studying this book? We're talking about a person that has been able to overcome that. They're telling us just because a lot of people are doing it doesn't make it okay.
No, it's not okay, but it
Right.
happens to
I
people.
understand that. And believe me, that's why we're in this
I mean,
category.
that's the whole struggle.
100%.
the
That's
whole
a struggle. That's a struggle. But that's also the merit. When we overcome that struggle, we are getting stronger and we are getting merit. But 100%. And that's why the temptation comes in very, that's the temptation is compared to the snake. Because the snake doesn't crawl straight. It goes like in curves. And so does the temptation in us. It's just this one time, don't be a fanatic, it's just one thing. It's like a little thing. It's just a little candy. It's not a big thing. You're not eating a piece of unkosher meat. Come on. It's not meat, right? It's just a little candy.
It creates the doubt. It creates the doubt in us.
It creates the
doubt.
The doubt, of course. You see, that's doubt is what breaks the boundary. That's why faith is the opposite of doubt. When we start to doubt, and we say, maybe it's just this one time, that's when we are. You see a dog I run in the beach. You see a dog, right? There's like staying away from the dog. Just dogs and I are
On good terms.
you know what? I respect them. I know that they're very valuable to their owners. I don't have an affinity to dogs. But what happens when you start all owners say my dog doesn't bite. My dog doesn't bite. So okay, so you know what? So maybe I'm gonna break that boundary. So maybe I can get close to the dog. It's just this one time. I'm just gonna pet it. When we put doubt into the system, that's what breaks the boundaries. All right, so I'm going to leave the Tanya here. Okay. And I'm going to go into the Sefirot because we are doing our Sefirot. Today it's here. We can give this out. The Sefirah of Netzach. So Sefirot are the energy that Hashem gives us. Hashem is one, but he wants to divide his energy into 10 paths, so he can make a world that is multicolored, multi-dimensional, with each person having I don't know which one is mine. Okay, doesn't matter. Okay, so the Sefirot are just energies of God. We all have the Sefirot. We just got different proportions of it. That's what makes different people. Why do we count the Omer between Pesach and Shavuot? We have compared it to 49 Sefirot, our 49 strings of our soul. And just as a musician has to tighten or loosen a string before playing an instrument, a guitar, so too our Sefirot. We either have to work on them to tighten them or to loosen up. Okay, so the Sefirot, today we're gonna see what Netzach is, and it's this page here. I'll show you. Netzach, we have Sefirot on the right, on the left, and on the center. This is the Sephira that I have made to represent Netzach, okay? And each of our patriarchs also represent a different Sephira. For instance, Abraham represents the Sephira of Chesed, of kindness, opening up his home and his knowledge. Yitzhak represents the Sephira of Gevura, of telling his father at the Akedah, at the sacrifice of Isaac, tighten the rope more so I won't tremble, so I'll be a perfect sacrifice for Hashem. Yaakov is the Sephira of Tiferet, of really assessing reality and seeing how much Chesed or Gevura a situation calls for. That's why all his sons were Tzaddikim. Moshe, okay? Moses is the Sephira, represents the Sephira of Netzach. Okay? So Netzach is represented by our left foot, left leg, right leg. So what is the right leg? That's why I put here right leg here. What is the right leg? The right leg is like when you start something, you start a journey, right? And we say, I'm gonna start with my right foot, right? You go with your right foot. You take the first step, right? So opening up new frontiers. That's what we have here. A new frontier. It's like an explorer going into the unknown. Okay, going into the unknown, now there's people that have a lot of Netzach, right? They always want something new. They want to go to a new restaurant. They want to make a new friend. They want to go on a new trip. They want to explore, conquer a new mountain, go to a place. This is a thirst. This is a manifestation of the Netzach inside a person, right? I want something new. I want something that I've never seen. This is from our right side. It comes from the Chesed. It comes from the Chochmah. Or everything is from the right side. But it's taking that first step. Okay, when you jump into something of now sometimes you can see there's some people that don't have so much Netzach. They don't want something new. Don't bring me to a new place. I don't want to try new food. I don't want to make new friends. I don't want to go to a new school. I don't want a new career. Because that's very little Netzach. So from Netzach, we have the explorer, and we have the sign, the Nike sign that says, just do it, right? When we open up ourselves and we go beyond, it's what is it called? It's called out of the box. Okay, that drive to be out of the box. What is out of the box? Out of the box means out of the conventional, to a new idea. For instance, Uber, right? Uber is something that was totally out of the box. Who would have thought that regular people that don't belong to a regular taxi association could make a network? That is an idea from Netzach, right? Not only Uber, we could say Airbnb, right? Airbnb also, it's a Airbnb is like Airbnb.
ChatGPT.
Yes, AI, excellent. AI. Who would have thought that a computer can start to think, or can write a paper better than a human being? It's incredible what AI is doing. These are ideas, Elon Musk has an incredible amount of Netzach. Not only because he has out of the box ideas, that's Netzach, but he dares to do it. He goes to the moon. So why is Moses Netzach? He went to the sky. He went to the moon. Moses went to heaven, right? And he dared to go up to heaven.
He was alive.
And he was alive, and he stayed there for 40 days, something that nobody had done before. He brought the Torah, nobody had done before. He prevailed over the angels.
And his brothers and Aaron and Miriam criticized him.
Yes,
In spite.
that's right, because they didn't have that Netzach. They couldn't understand. And many times that's happened. You know, a scientist, Newton, somebody that dares to do something out of the ordinary. The Wright brothers, they wanted to fly. Nobody had flown before, and they made an airplane. How you know, like a bird? And people don't understand. People will criticize. People will not understand because they don't have that Netzach. Right? Not everybody is in that page. Not everybody is so daring. So that's why I put a box, an open box. To be out of the box means to think something of the extraordinary. Sometimes you're speaking to a child and you're not getting through in this way. And all of a sudden, oh, maybe I can present this idea with a game. Maybe I can do it through, or maybe I can do it with incentives. Maybe I can reward the child. Maybe to think of something out of the box, out of the conventional, something in a different way. We're cooking the same ingredients in the kitchen, right? The same ingredients, and I make the same challah or whatever I do. What if I make the same ingredients something a little bit different, a different taste? That's all Netzach, right? How to, whatever.
Be out of your comfort.
Yes, and there's people that naturally have more of that. Now, we have said that we have two souls, right? We closed the Tanya, but we didn't leave it behind. We have the divine soul, right? And we have the animal. So in the divine soul, the Netzach is going to, yes, I can make Uber, which is gonna make life better, easier for people, right? It's gonna, you know, I remember when my children were very little, and we used to travel a lot for my husband for his business. And sometimes we were in a city, and I had little children in a carriage and this and that, and I needed a taxi cab. And it was horrible because I had to call the taxi central, and they would tell me, yes, I'm sending somebody, 20 minutes would pass, half an hour. Excuse me, where's my taxi? No, we forgot about you. I didn't send him. Oh, he had a problem. He's not coming. Another what happened to Uber? Now I know exactly, I can see here, where's the closest taxi coming, in how long, where is it coming, from the left, from the right? Maybe if it's not working, I'll take another one. It made life much easier, much user-friendly, right? So from the divine soul, my Netzach is going to allow me to do something in a better way, in an easier way, it's going to allow me to go into the unknown, right? What about the animals? What about when the animal uses the Netzach in me? So I want to be different, but in a not good way. I don't want the convention. I don't want conventional, but maybe it's something detrimental. Maybe, to have a house and 2 children and a dog, maybe I don't want that lifestyle. Maybe I want a lifestyle that is not good for me, right? Something out of the conventional, or maybe an idea, we said out of the box, but it's an idea that is far away out of the box, that is not even realistic, that is not something, right, that is helping anybody in any way, or being realistic, or it's just not good, right? That also comes from the Netzach, right? Or I have to be jumping from one relationship to another relationship. I can't settle down. I have to get one girl and then another girl and another girl, or another one boy, another boy, another boy. I can never make up my mind. That's also from the Netzach. You know, I need something new and stimulating, and another something new and stimulating, and something new, and I can never be satisfied. That's also from the Netzach, but it's coming from the animal soul. So we can see the Netzach can be used by the divine soul, and the divine soul is always making a better world. That's the nature. It's gonna make a better life. It's gonna take me to a better place, right? It's gonna make me a better person, right? Or the animal soul, it can just be haywire. It could be just out of the box, but it's not achieving anything, right? So what do we have here, the runner? Because from the Netzach, it's not only taking the first step, right? But if we keep on going the first step, we get perseverance, right? So from the Netzach, it's not just to open up a new front, but it's the perseverance to keep at it and to keep at it and to keep on going. And we see Moses, you know, how many times in the desert did we complain? We want to go back to Egypt, right? This is not good. Where is the water? And he was going on and on and on. So it's the perseverance. And we see that in life, how much we need that. Now we can look at our own Netzach. How is my Netzach doing? Right? Am I open to new ideas? Am I daring enough to do it? Right? Am I open to new people? Am I open to a new way of thinking? You know, there's new psychology every day. There's a new way of seeing life, right? Maybe there's a better way to think. Maybe there's a better way to act, right? Maybe, and is it just a moment of inspiration, or am I keeping at it, and am I keeping going at this idea? Because it's not just a moment of inspiration, right? It comes from inspiration. That's why it's all from the right side. From the right side, there's chokhmah. It's a moment of illumination. I got inspired, right? But do I have what it takes to break ground, to make it happen, right? And not only one time, but I have to keep at it, right? So I don't know, Elon Musk, you know, those of you that read about him, but for every idea that he has had, how many have failed, right? How many times did he try to send a spaceship to the moon and it didn't work, right? So from Netzach, it's not just like a one-time thing. That's Netzach, but also from Netzach, it's like to keep on and to keep on and to keep on, right? And then we see achievement.
Not stop, just continue.
Yeah, to not stop.
Is consistency or perseverance?
Perseverance.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the perseverance.
What is the difference between consistency and perseverance?
Consistency is like you do the same thing over and over.
And over and over.
But perseverance
It's
is
like-
like you're going after.
It's very similar. It's very similar. But we see that the Netzach is the daring, is the going out, right? And it's like keeping, like
Moving forward is the difference.
moving for, right? You know,
Yeah.
many times in life, my father used to have a saying, and it's like, the show must go on. Yeah, the show must go on. And you know, sometimes in life, it's just about going on the next step, just about waking up the next day, just about going through the routine the next day. And sometimes that to a person is a lot. Just to get through the day, that for some people, some days of their life, that's a tremendous achievement. And in order to do that, they have to spark the Netzach, right? There's also stories with the Rebbe where Shluchim would go to the Rebbe and they would tell him, you know, oh, I did all these programs, these amazing feats this year. And the Rebbe would say, very nice. And what are you going to do next? Very nice. What are you going to do next?
It's over, right?
It's not
over.
because look, there's no waste in Hashem's world. There's no There's no 2 days that are the same. There's no 2 sunrises or 2 sunsets or even 2 waves of the ocean that are the same, because that would be a repetition, and a repetition of the same thing would be a waste. So in Hashem's world, every second is because there's something new to discover. There's a new place for me to discover inside myself. There's a new ascent for myself. The world is always going to another place that is better. There's more divinity. That is real holiness. If it was a repetition of something, it would be a waste. And there's no waste in Hashem's world. One second. So, in order for us to break constantly that comfort zone of what I already know what to do, of what I did yesterday, it requires us to spark Netzach. It requires us to use our Netzach, because Netzach it's Netzach Netzachim. It's like if you go on, you will get victory. Another name for Netzach is victory. Okay, so it's not only persistence, perseverance, but it's also victory. The way to get to victory is through that Netzach. Go ahead.
If you do the same, if you have something that you do every year,
yeah,
at the same time of the year,
yeah,
but it's a different thing. Is that
the same thing, but it's a different theme?
Yeah, like for example,
okay,
I do a calendar every year.
Right.
It's a different theme. It's the same,
right,
the same activity,
Right.
but it's a different
Right.
theme.
right. So it's very interesting. I think it was, Ellen Langer. Her name is Ellen Langer. You can listen to the YouTubes of her, which is amazing. Ellen Langer, I've mentioned her in class before. Ellen Langer. She is the first woman professor in psychology to get tenure in Harvard. Okay, she has a lot of YouTubes, amazing woman. She has made many studies, and one study that she did was with salespeople, people that sell things in a company, and she said to one group, she said, okay, you're gonna sell this product, but utilizing Netzach, she didn't use the word Netzach, but it's Netzach. Every customer, you have to tell them the sales pitch in a variant way, in a different way. You can't give the same sales pitch that you gave to the other customer. You have to do it a little bit more different. Okay. To one group, they had to use Netzach, a little bit different. To another group, they said, you're gonna sell the product the same way with the other ones, okay? And in this research that she did, what do you think the results were? Okay, who sold more? The ones that changed their sales pitch each time, or the ones that use the same sales pitch the same way?
Who changed? Netzach, the ones who changed their self.
Sold a lot more than these. Okay, why? Because each time they had to activate Netzach a little bit different, a little bit better, a little bit in a different way, in a different perspective, so they're constantly innovating. Now, what happens, not only on the outside, but it changes you on the inside, because it doesn't, stale bread doesn't taste so good. But when you're giving a new product on the outside, or you're saying on something new, it motivates you also from the inside. So you're not giving the same speech and in the same tone of voice, monotonous, right? So if you do the same calendar every year, make sure you innovate with something. I don't know, maybe you have something, because that also freshens you from the inside. And that's what we really have to motivate. You know, tzedakah, it's very interesting. Tzedakah is not so much about the receiver. Tzedakah is more about the giver. So the whole concept of tzedakah is not so much of who's receiving. Tzedakah, the world that Hashem has made, is because the giver needs to give. The Rambam says, if a person has $100, should they give $1 to 100 persons or $100 to one person? So the answer is that $100, you know, it's better to give $1 to 100 persons than to give $100 to one person. Why? What is a person going to do with $1? They can't do very much.
Not today.
Not today, right? Rather, a person with $100, maybe they can do something good. They can buy some food, they can pay a little bit of the rent, something. So it's not about the receiver. But the Rambam says the person that's gonna stretch their hands 100 times to give $1 to 100, this is gonna change the giver. The giver is gonna want to give and become a person that gives. That's what the Rebbe did. The Rebbe did on Sundays, giving the dollars, $1, but he gave for hours. So he was giving and giving and giving. That changes a person. Right? So in the Netzach inside of us, it's like a mother's milk. The more the mother gives milk, what happens? The more she produces. And in the production of the milk, in the giving of the milk, and the baby is taking the milk from the mother, that establishes a relationship. It's also the tender love and care that's happening, right? The connection, they're building connection, the love from everything. But it's another time. So we need to activate. Okay, ladies, I hope you enjoyed. Any questions?
Wow, beautiful. Thank you so much. Wow.
Okay. I hope everybody enjoyed.
Yes,
Good day, all.
agreed.
Any questions? No.
Do we have to get all this back?